Hi, and welcome to Life Passages, the Soul's Journey. I'm Kathy Colley. I'm your guest host today, here with Nancy Bloom, producer and host of this show that has been running since 1996.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And the theme of our show today is Heal and Transform. And I'm really excited to hear from you, Nancy. Tell us, what does that mean for you and your work? And
Yeah, it's kind of, I would say, the heart and the essence of my work, of all my works. When I was 30, I was seeing a therapist. One of my main troubling issues was a total lack of a sense of my calling, my purpose in life, as well as other patterns I was needing to move beyond. And at that time, I was really calling in to know my life purpose. So it did come to me, and it was healing. And I didn't realize at the time, healing also means transforming, changing, not into something other than who we are, but really into more of who we are. And also, like the second meeting with that counselor, I walked out the door, got in my van. It was an hour and 15-minute drive, and a song came to me, and it's the song that we opened the show with, Spirit. And so that song speaks of how spirit resides in each of us and is a profound, powerful, and healing force within each of us that we can open to transform into this more of who we are and to be healing. And so we can listen to a little of that now.
wonderful.
Yeah. And so, as people can hear, we can't hear here, but we can know.
Through pain and your delight.
Just this.
God is the harmony
And so
that
God is in
makes
our body,
you
as the song is
whole.
saying. God is in our heart.
God is the love.
In God we're all one. We're never apart. It's beautiful lyrics. I love them myself to this day.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So just in that period of time, coming to the calling to do healing work and realizing that not only did that involve working with people, originally started as spiritual healing, moved into counseling, but also there was another thread that got started at that time, which was the songs. So very healing music, healing melodies have come through me since then.
Wonderful. So it sounds like you really went through a passage.
Yeah, that was a big life passage. And it changed me so profoundly from a person with a lot of issues and lost kind of, maybe living much too much from personality to someone living much more from soul. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And part of me is wondering, where's the song at now? Maybe it's still in the background. Yeah. So because
Shall
we
we
can't hear, we
proceed?
don't know. What?
Shall we proceed? Or?
Yeah, let's proceed.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm curious to know if you use music in your healing sessions.
Now that's a great question. I think one of the ways that music began to become more and more part of healing for me was doing sound in my sessions.
Yeah.
Originally, my first area of healing was spiritual healing, and then as one of the things in spiritual healing is asking to be guided, essentially, that your hands go where they're needed. A lot of spiritual healing is in the energy field, not even touching. But as asking to be guided to bring forth what this person needed, sometimes sound would show up. And at first I might invalidate that. Like, I'd be working on someone doing a spiritual healing, because that was then very much a part of what I did. I still do energy healing now, as well as the counseling and hypnotherapy and other things. But, I've had experiences working, as I said, with someone with the hands, and then I'm hearing a song. And it's, at first I would invalidate that thought sometimes because it seems so off the wall. For example, one song might be something like Yankee Doodle. And so at first, when I was not used to this, I would be saying, I'm not going to sing that to that person. I'll tell them about it later. But when I would tell them later, after the spiritual healing part is done and we're debriefing on that, when I would say, oh, you know, as I was doing that, I really kept hearing Yankee Doodle, the song Yankee Doodle. The person would say, oh, that was a song my grandfather sang to me when he held me on his knee, and he's the one person in the family that I felt safe with, that loved me. I mean, deep regret that I get shivers talking about it, that I didn't sing it. So from then on, if something comes through that way, I do honor that and sing it, unless I listen up and sense that it's not right.
Right.
So often it's not even my songs, and I have created songs for clients on rare occasions that I was just prompted to create, and it's a beautiful transmission for that unique person to empower them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Will you tell us, Nancy, what does it mean to you to heal and transform? I mean, obviously you've dedicated your whole life to this and have helped so many people do this. What does it mean?
That's a great question. I do want to say one more thing about what we were just talking about, the sounding, because I also do sound healing and work with bells, Tibetan bowls, some drums, different beautiful instruments, a little harp that are very healing, and my voice as drawn to do that for people.
So you'll do that in session with
or
them.
guiding people in sounding and toning what they're experiencing, whether it's anguish or, you know, because toning and sounding can move us. It massages the inner being, the body, and moves things. Mm-hmm. So there's more to that, but we don't need to talk about that more. Yeah. But the heart of healing and transformation and what that means to me, I feel like it's such a core thing for everyone. My belief and feeling over many, many years, I've done this for about 35 years now, this work, in many forms of healing and transforming work. My feeling is really the Creator put us here with all the keys we need to heal within us. And it's a matter of finding those. The code is in there. And transforming, like I said at the beginning, I don't feel it's about transforming into something other than what you are, but into the unique fullness that each person is, which gives us a lot to be, because my own understanding is we're really infinite in nature. There's a lot to our being. Sometimes we are raised a certain way, or we develop certain ways of coping early on that make us feel like, oh, we're the timid one, or we're the one that overpowers everybody. Well, there's a lot more to us than that. We can find it within. Yeah, so it's opening up that territory. So my first years of working with healing and transformation, I mostly worked with people facing serious illnesses. As an energy healer, spiritual healer, they would come to me when other things had all failed. And it didn't take me long to discover that for a lot of people, we need to work on different levels, not just the energetic level, the body level, but the mind, the heart, the soul needed attention to help the person be willing to let go of some patterns that were keeping them stuck. For example, people speak in recent years about type A conditions, disease. There's, the people wired, hard driving, striving, intense, maybe very hard to de-stress people can develop heart issues. And so helping that person to learn some other ways of being, which they can learn, then it changes the physical. So over time I was reaching for tools to help me with people that I was working with physical issues. And those were psychosynthesis that I went and was trained in, which is a way of working with mediating between the parts of the person. We all have sub-personalities. We think of, oh, she has a bubbly personality, or he has kind of a dour personality, but really we all have many parts. Somebody might be different at work with their boss, who's overbearing, than they are at home with a wife and kids. So it's working with all those different parts to help them come into their higher self octaves, essentially, to help the resources that are inherent in those become available in new ways.
Lovely.
So if someone has been power tripping others, maybe there's a power that resides in that part of themselves. They don't have to use it for that because they've been alienating everyone, but use it to empower themselves in other ways or to empower others. So it's a real learning. The psychosynthesis is wonderful. And it really helped me at the time with people facing physical challenges, because sometimes part of the person wanted to get well, part of them didn't, you know. Well, yeah, I sort of want to get well, but I would say, do you totally, if you could be healed this moment or next week, would you be willing to? Well, maybe. Part of them would, but part not. What is the part that wouldn't? Maybe there's a part of the person getting something out of that status of being the ill one in the family. So these parts need to be mediated to come into the fullness of well-being, healing the as well.
Right. It's making me think of what you said earlier about this painting.
Yeah.
About all the different parts coming into a whole.
That's right. It looks like a round whole painting, but as we look at it, there really are a lot of parts, and the parts to me relate to all the parts of ourself that are reflected to us through nature. We look out there, we say, how beautiful the mountains, how beautiful the sky today, it's so sunny. Oh, that flowing creek is so pretty. If we wanted to, we could own that by saying to ourselves, if we want, it's an experiment people can do. You know, I am the flowing water sparkling with sunlight. How does that feel? It can open you to a whole other part of your infinite nature. And I think we think of nature sometimes as out there, but it's in us too. We're human nature, you know. So, yeah, in that same vein, we could look at, oh, the glowing sun. What would it feel like to say within yourself, I am the glowing sun? Wow, just fun, really. So this painting, yeah, reflects a lot of different parts: the earth, the sky, the sun and the moon, the water. And I also, in 1987, was guided to start teaching a workshop series based on the universal medicine wheel. And I say universal because working with the 4 seasons and the 4 elements is very universal. If you go back far enough in everybody's ancestry, our ancestors are all sitting around a fire and going by the seasons of the sun and the moon. And, I think they didn't have electricity. That was a big deal when it's full moon.
Yes.
And another kind of big deal when it's darker than moon. So in that workshop series, we focus on the parts of ourselves that are reflected by the seasons, by nature, and bridge with our core connection with nature. I think it's a very healing connection. And as we can find that connection with nature, we find a deeper connection with our own deeper nature. So this represents some of that. In the medicine wheel, we talk about the 4 elements and 4 seasons. And there's summer, which has to do with the fire element. And fall has to do with the water element. And the winter, the earth. And the east, the spring, the air. Some tribes held it differently, but all peoples had this sense of the whole of the year, the seasons, the elements, that it all belongs. And I know some tribes have black in the north, which is the winter time, and others have white. The way I learned was white originally, and white for snow, but then black, okay, if you're in Alaska, it's a lot of black up there in the winter.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, it sounds like in your medicine wheel workshop, you really help people have an experience of oneness or wholeness with all of these parts.
That's right, and it's a similar idea as we spoke of before, that all the parts are part of this whole, and we can draw upon those parts that we need. And if we're actually in the real season of fall in our lives, when it's fall outside and the leaves are falling away, some people feel sad about that because they know it's going away and it's going to get to be dreary, cold days. But in the medicine wheel teachings, they say that's a time for going within and tapping into our deep roots within ourselves. If that time becomes oppressive or we're feeling too much darkness internally or outside, we can reach for the other directions. There is always the east, the time of the, springtime, the time of the sunrise in a day. We could close our eyes and remember how we felt at a beautiful sunrise experience, or in the spring when the energy is rising. Because even though outside it might be the fall, we can carry these medicines, so to speak, within us and tap into them as needed for balance.
So if someone were to come to your medicine wheel workshop, with an experience of imbalance, say, with some of these energies, how might they be guided to more of a sense of wholeness?
Yeah, that's a great question. And sometimes people have come and they really hate the West because they don't like that idea of dark. They want to avoid it, or they've had some very hard experiences lately. They're up to here with it. And I have heard such people eventually say, since taking that workshop, I'm fine with the West. I'm fine with the dark. I can surf that. I'm okay with that. I kind of love it, actually.
Great.
And people who've maybe become to the North has to do with wisdom, that kind of thing. And the South with childlikeness, playfulness, and spontaneity, and coming from heart, not mind. Maybe people who've become too mental in their approach to things, maybe haven't found the childlike, playful self, don't know that way of coming from heart. Over the process of the way we work, that becomes a territory that they can get into then and enjoy a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So it's nice to fill out those missing pieces, because we're really all of that.
Right, and I could imagine that people discover a lot about themselves that they weren't aware of.
Right.
In the process of going through that workshop. Because,
Right.
as I think about it now, I could imagine, I'm good and strong in this area and not so strong in that area, but to really engage in it as a full exploration with other people could be
Yeah, and a lot of the
amazing.
work is internal, but then we share. We're each going on our own little journey internally, sometimes with guided journeys. And, but people share what their has been. Often that uplifts others or sparks them. And people who've been not so in touch with nature, not understanding the profound medicine, so-called, that's there. And medicine in the Native American way, which kind of alludes to like a spiritual sustenance, in this case, find themselves deeply drawn then to the healing power of nature, which is incredibly beneficial. They might find themselves going to power spots much more. The person who took this recently, Stephanie actually, who's crewing for us. We thank our crew, Breeze, Stephanie, Nick, and Michael. Anyway, she has started building with rock, building cairns, stone stacks, a very grounding, centering activity.
beautiful.
So it just opens some different doorways. When I first started my healing and transformation work, I never thought I'd do this. It was kind of my way, but I kept it secret, it's just my little thing, a big thing.
Well, and how beautiful how you've woven all of this together. And this picture is such a beautiful example of how you've woven together all these elements with your music, your counseling work, and here this television show that you've run since, 1996?
That is
tremendous.
an example of something that I've experienced in my life, is letting my life be guided by spirit. It works well, And at the time that I started this TV show, I was working on my first album. It was a recording of songs. That was also a guided thing. I went on a vision quest. I'd been writing songs and been so happy with that activity. But I was guided to bring them out into the world. It was like, oh my goodness, a tall order, a lot of work. So I came and was interviewed on a TV show here at this studio. And afterwards, the videographer said, well, how'd you like being interviewed? And I said, oh, I loved it, but I felt like I just only had a half hour and I have so much more to say. She said, oh, start your own TV show. I was like, oh, I couldn't do that. I'm making an album. And Spirit's like, start the show. I'm like, oh. I can't believe I've got counseling I'm doing. I'm pretty full practice. I'm teaching workshops. I'm making an album. You want me to do a TV show? But the help was there. That same videographer who basically ran the station at that time. She was willing to be the director on my shows. And the first time that we did 2 shows, like we are in the studio doing today, I got to see the show then within 10 days, and I could see my name, and it said producer, and I was like, wow, it took like a morning, 3 hours. I produced 2 shows. They were finished. It was a good antidote to the part of me that was frustrated with how long the music recording was taking. It took me 5 years to do that. So this was kind of satisfying.
Right, a lot quicker production.
Yeah, I'm sure if it hadn't been, I wouldn't have done it because it was a lot. It's still a lot, but. And
would you like to say anything about your process with hosting the show? Any highlights?
That's interesting. Yeah, I was about to say that as I get older, I think, why am I still doing the show? It's a giveaway to the community. It's something I give. And I remember Oprah, I got this idea also synchronously with the offering to do a show. I saw an Oprah show, and it was about the Angel Network. She wanted to start inviting people to give what they could to the community. And an example was a car mechanic who on Saturdays opened his mechanic shop just for single moms that were financially challenged to work on their vehicles for free. And so she was like, she looks in the camera, well, what can you do? I thought, well, I sure can't do that. And somebody else was making soup for homeless people. I'm not a very good soup maker. But I thought what I could do is this, because I had a show before in Honolulu called Health is Our Wealth. I thought I could do this. It's something I could offer to the community and give.
And I'm sure it has, come back to you in so many ways, energetically, the blessings of this giveaway.
And I always, at the beginning, as we did, we kind of sit in affirmation and prayer, just asking and requesting and praying that this be a blessing for all who watch. And from time to time, as I get older, I think, oh, it's too much work, and why am I still doing it? And then I meet wonderful people like yourself, who I interviewed before, and the world needs to hear from these people. And I can't see who's watching. I don't know most of those people. I run into people sometimes who tell me they watch regularly and love it. So I'm heartened by that.
Yeah. And I appreciate how you're giving people a taste of the space you hold as a counselor, listening and drawing people out.
Yeah, well said. And I did think about that when I was about to do the show. I thought, well, I know how to listen and draw people out. And the other thought I had is, I am so privileged when I'm doing counseling work to hear the heart and soul of an individual, their life story. It's very moving. And while I can't interview those people necessarily, it's just to hear from souls. It's a wonderful, enriching thing.
Wonderful, beautiful. Well, I know we're just about at time, so are there any last words you have about healing and transformation that you would give to the viewers, or any specific workshops or offerings coming up that you might want to mention?
I had things in a bag, and I meant to bring my flyers, but people can see those on my website, which is www.spiritbloom.com, because it's all about helping your spirit to blossom. And I have several workshops that I regularly share. And one that I'm doing now is called Tools for Transformation. It works very much with the parts of self, like we spoke of, and with helping us ever more fully to live from soul. There is also the medicine wheel. We alluded to that when we talked about this painting. And that I usually hold, in fact, always hold in a space for abundant meeting space outside, because a lot of the journeys that we do are in the natural world, and there's always inside space in case the weather is bad. So that is held, spring, summer, and fall, in the better months of the year. This one we're doing now, Tools for Transformation, is great in the winter. We can go within and look at all the parts. And then my healing class, which was my first love in terms of teaching. Teaching people to do self-healing work and to work with hands-on healing. The ancient laying out of hands, we could say it's like that. Spiritual healing, psychic healing, aura chakra work, energy healing like that. And that I started because I had a miraculous experience with a client who was healed from very serious conditions of a stroke and cancer, just with these very simple tools. And I thought, gosh, everyone can learn this. And I taught it to nurses for several years as therapeutic touch. So that one, yeah, as well.
Wonderful.
So people can learn more about my hypnotherapy and counseling and workshops on, again, I'll say it again, the website, www.spiritinbloom.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And any final words for the viewers about how they can heal and transform?
Yeah. The soul within you is such a healer. So it's more and more about unveiling that soul. And one of the things I focus on in my healing work is soul retrieval, whether it's overtly we do that, but it's really that invitation to the fullness of who you are. And in Native American tradition, they say, we each arrive here to this planet with our own unique original medicine, and no one else has that. We each have a profound gift to share that comes from our unique soul. So I just wish you who are watching a deepening in living from your soul.
Wonderful.
Listen to it. It's a good guide too.
Yes.
Thank you for stepping in and hosting.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. It's an honor to be here with you.
God is in your light. God is in your joy. God is in your fright. Spirit is there through your pain and your delight. God is the harmony that makes you whole. God is the love that fills your soul. God is yourself deeper than you know. Open your heart.